Hello, my name is Scarlett Karoleva. We are here in London, and I am so proud to announce my newest guest. Of course, she's the one and only Bia Kicis. She's the fairest politician that Brazil has. Bia, it's so good to have you here.
Thank you, Scarlett. It's an honor for me too.
We just had the pleasure of listening to your speech. We're talking about cultural war. One of the first statements that you made during your presentation was that we're having not a war with weapons, but a war with words and ideology. Could you please elaborate on that? What do you mean with that?
Well, we have to recall a very remarkable man in this cultural war. His name is Antonio Gramsci, Italian. He was in prison. While he was in prison, he wrote books. And he told, let's not take headquarters, let's take schools. So he is on the other side, he's our enemy, okay? But what he thought is being used successfully in Brazil and all over the West. So we have to be aware that the leftist who wants to destroy our civilization, they are indoctrinating our children at school. And so they are fighting everything that we have, that we value, like our faith, our liberty, our families. They want to destroy everything. And this is the kind of war we are fighting.
And then you hit something on the nail, spot on, is that if you want to attack this, the the blatant war of our cultural identity, our Christian faith, our family values. We don't have to just change the political system, but it goes beyond that. It goes into the school systems. It goes into even H&R, the person who tell you who gets a job or not, because they will, of course, take people with their communistic ideas. But so far, we have failed in doing that. How can we fix that?
Well, we have to be aware all the time. We have to occupy new spaces. We have to be everywhere, like the leftists did for the last at least 50 years. They've been infiltrated everywhere, in church, in schools, universities, and there are many judges. There are leftists, so they took all the places you can imagine, physicians. You like it was very important to have physicians our side during the pandemic, and most of the physicians they wanted to force us to vaccinate and things like that. So we have to be everywhere, really, and this is something we have to we can take for granted what's going on. These people occupying spaces in places we think, oh, it doesn't really matter, but it does matter.
They definitely do matter, and it's exactly like you said before. We have to spread awareness on that, and the best way to do it nowadays is through media. We know that for a long
You
time.
mentioned something very important. We need journalists.
Yeah.
We need an independent media because media is a power. But when things happen, wrong things happen, if you have an independent media, they will point it out.
Yeah.
And so they will take, the power of those who are doing these things, corruption, lawfare, everything. But when the media silences about this or even applauses, then we are the one who get weak, you see?
Absolutely. Actually, I mean, it's a job from the media as a journalist to be there as a fourth power, which means that we're there for the checks and balances for those who are in power. And we know that for the longest time, that's not happening. They're actually more of a mouthpiece for governments. And I had the honor of meeting the son of your former president, Eduardo Bolsonaro, and he came to the parliament. I think it's, even though it was last year, at that moment, X Files was a big topic in your country because they wanted to silence conservative voices that were supporting President President Jair Bolsonaro. And I never will forget what he said at that moment, Eduardo da Son. He said, "Don't think that because there's an ocean between our countries, you will be safe as Europe. Because it will happen here too. If it happened in Brazil, it will happen here." 2 months later, Keir Starmer started putting people in prison for sharing their thoughts online. So we see that what's happening in Brazil, in your country, always inevitably happens in Europe as well. At this moment, when we talk about freedom of expression, freedom of speech, what is the current state of that in your country?
Oh, it's really terrible. Now, we, the conservatives, we live under a very, very tough censorship regime. And the leftists, the politicians, the leftist ones, they can say whatever they want. They can attack us. They can call Bolsonaro a genocide. What crime could be worse than genocide, right? And we can even call Lula da Silva a thief. And he is. He was convicted. And then he was released from prison. But all the crimes that he committed, they were proven. And his partners even returned lots of money, billions, you see? And you can call him a thief. That's why this is not a fair fight.
No.
They have the judiciary, they have all the media, they have all the institutions for them, and we have all the institutions against us. So it's a very unfair fight, but we keep fighting no matter what, and we have to wake the youth. We have to wake the youth. We have to wake people in general, housewives, everybody, people waking up and coming to the war with us. This is a war without weapons,
Yes,
right?
right.
Well, our weapons are our ideas, our arguments. They don't have arguments. That's why they have to use the force, because they don't have arguments.
And talking about it, you spoke about the judicial system. We know it's been weaponized. They are actually now convicting President Jair Bolsonaro. He's been in prison for 27 years. It's what we see in Europe as well. They try to put the same trick, of course, at Marine Le Pen, so she cannot run for office because they know she will win. They're afraid they will lose power. You have an amazing career before you entered politics as a prosecutor yourself, and we can see the rhetorical skills. I mean, I'm very happy I'm not your opposition because you leave no crumbles left on that. But still, it's a very tough fight that you're fighting. Yesterday, you told me with how many you are in parliament. It is not a fair fight. What is the progress still?
Well, we have more and more people coming to our side, especially people being aware that we need God, we need religion, because the Brazilian people, we are mostly Christians, but people were taking this for granted, not going to church, thinking that, just living life. And after what's happening, all the persecutions that we are suffering, and also the Christians, not only in Brazil, but all over the world, people are getting awake, And so this is, I think, where we are going to win this battle.
Yeah, it's like you said, with Palestine, everyone was protesting for the people in Gaza, but then when there were Christians being killed in Africa, nobody talked about it.
Silence.
Exactly. So they're very hypocrite in that sense, of course. Going back to Jair Bolsonaro, 27 years in prison for nothing that he did wrong.
For what? For a meeting he did with ambassadors. But nobody tells that the president of the electoral court had the first meeting with the ambassadors, and he was not supposed to do that. He belonged to the judiciary. What was he doing with ambassadors? And he was trying to force the ambassadors to press their countries to accept the results of our elections as soon as it happened. And so Bolsonaro, he was only fighting back. He wanted to show the investors we had issues with our elector, with our elections, our electoral system, and he showed that there was a
Inquiry, yes.
yes, where a hacker, a hacker confessed that he invaded the electoral system, and he stayed in there for 9 months using the password of one of the judges of the court and another employee, and he did everything he wanted, and he was never caught. He was the one to tell everybody that he did that. So there was this inquiry, and Bolsonaro was just showing this to the ambassadors. And after he did that, the judge made that inquiry, turned that inquiry secret, so he couldn't talk about this anymore. And
Are they even allowed to do that?
well, when you are in a dictatorship, what can they not do? You know, they do whatever they want because law doesn't matter anymore. The Constitution doesn't matter anymore. You see?
Yeah.
So after that, he was convicted for this meeting. Like, he was putting the electoral system in danger the minute he was talking about this to foreign.
But we're talking about fraud.
Yeah.
If I understand it correctly, this is blatant fraud. The receipts are right there. It makes one wonder why is Brazil quiet about it? Why is nobody going to the street and protesting?
We did. I was the author of a bill so that we could have the pressing machines to have the bullets.
Yeah.
Okay? Because we only have the machine, the electronic machine, and it doesn't press the bullets like they do in Venezuela. In Venezuela, they could count the votes, recount, and so Maria Corina Machado, the opposition, could prove that Edmundo Gonzalez was the winner and Maduro lost. But we can't even do that because how can you check if you don't have the receipts, right? You don't have the votes pressed. So you can check if the results that the court is telling you, if you doubt it, you cannot do anything. So you can't even prove fraud. You can only suspect, you see? So I was the author of this bill, but then one of the Supreme Court minister came into the parliament and he made people vote against it with his lies and threats. We know these judges, they threat the senators and the deputies. You know, they threat because they are the ones to judge us.
Yes.
So they call and say, hey, listen, you have, this investigation here. We are it is here. We're sitting on it, but if you vote like this, it will, go on again, and things like that happen.
Yeah, because what you're saying, I really want to discuss it because coming from Europe, I've been to many elections. I see it in Romania. They were interfering with the voting ballots in the diaspora, so in the people of the country outside of the country. It's easier to fraud there as well. It happened recently during the Moldavian elections. The bill that you proposed, what is the current status on it? Because I'm sure that the Europeans are watching it right now, so maybe we can learn something from it.
Now, I'm not sure I understood your question.
The bill that you
Yeah.
put forward, what is the current status? Is it still being discussed in
Oh,
Parliament?
no, no more, because it was taken to vote and we lost it because as it was amendment to the Constitution, we needed a big difference of votes, yeah, right? A qualified quorum. And we didn't achieve that. We didn't reach this quorum. We had more votes for it than against, but not the minimum that we needed for that because of this campaign the judge made against the bill, and they were afraid, But the people went to streets. We had a lot of manifestations, not only protests, not only in streets, also in internet. Everybody was printing, like pressing billets, putting in their cars. Everybody was taking part of it. It was a huge movement in Brazil, but they just killed it.
It's insane if you think about it that you were creating such a momentum,
Yeah.
people actively taking ownership that you have to do something about it because we're talking about a blatant attack on democracy. And still, even you, with all your experience as a prosecutor, being in parliament, there is just no way in fighting that corrupt system.
You know what? Now in Brazil, even doubting the electoral system is treating like a crime. You are treated as a criminal, even though there is no such crime. So, like fake news, they charge you of fake news, and this is a crime, but there is no such a crime, fake news, okay? We pursue the truth, we don't like lies, but anyway, fake news, for a fact, is not a crime. It might be a sin, it might be something bad, but it's not a crime because you need law to say it's a crime. So they accuse us of fake news, they accuse us of fake news about the system, the electoral system. If you even doubt it, you are doing something, they call it anti-democratic, and this can put you in jail for many years. You can even doubt.
If we look now to the future, let's say the status of Brazil in 10 years, what do you think it will look like?
Well, hopefully, we have some strong support coming from abroad. Trump is very, very important for all of us, like the Magnitsky law, everything that's been driven has been taken to the judges. It's something that's going to help us because we see that power is beginning to change now. The forces are, because the judges are, they're afraid they will take a Magnitsky like Alexandre de Moraes did. They didn't want that. That's really, really something really bad, for your life. You don't want it. So we see things beginning to change. And also, Eduardo is doing a great job. Paulo Figueiredo, they are working hard in the United States. And also, many people who can't come back to Brazil, journalists, people who are working in the United States to help Brazil. And also, we are making this network of conservatives, parliamentarians all over the world, conservatives like Chega in Portugal, like Vox in Spain. We are making this network, and this is really important. And what I see in 10 years, hopefully, these people will be in jail, right?
Yeah.
These criminals will be in jail. And we will have freedom of speech again, but we have to be aware because you can lose freedom just like that.
That's true.
So you can't just let it go. You have to fight and fight. And even when we conquer freedom again, we have to fight for it every day.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I really want to stress, people don't know it, but the organizers of this event, some of them are really putting their own life on the line. They cannot go back to Brazil, even though Brazil is their fatherland. They're still doing this on their own dime. They're even paying for this event to organize it because they feel it's their duty to save their country. We really want to thank you for all of the amazing work that you're doing. And I want to give you the last chance for the people at home watching. What would you like to tell them?
Don't give up. Giving up is not an option for us. We want to leave a free world for our children, for those who come after us, and we are the warriors. We are the warriors of this spiritual war. We cannot give up because there's someone up there that trusts in us. So we are all together.
Amen. Thank you so much. Obrigado.
De nada. Thank you.
Obrigada. That was
Obrigada. Yeah. Claro.
Thank you.